everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be testing out these drawing inks that I got from, you guessed it, Kmart. I've been having a lot of fun testing out Kmart art supplies lately, and this one does definitely look interesting. So we have this little set here of 4 drawing inks, and I think they might be for like calligraphy, I'm not too sure. And there's also tape, and I'm trying to open it without cutting the tape, but anyways, and I actually thought that this was pretty intriguing, and I don't know, I just really wanted to try it out. I also got a little set of paintbrushes from Kmart as well, because this didn't come with paintbrushes or anything. And yeah, just taking out these out of the box first, I was actually surprised with the color choices in this little box here. As you can see, we have a blue as well as a red and a green and a black. Those are all the colors in this kit here, and we were so close to having primary colors, but they gave us a green instead of yellow. How interesting. Now, if you're interested, this set is $3 at Kmart stores in Australia, and here is a closer look at the bottles. And I was actually quite surprised too, this bottle is actually glass. I kind of expected them to be plastic, but no, these are tiny little glass jars with ink in them. And honestly, the ink does look really nice. They are a very dark color, as you can see, but that's a good sign that they might be very pigmented. Now, if I just shake up this bottle a little bit, you can see the bubbles inside. Those are the colors that these inks are going to be. And let's test that out and see with some swatches. Now I'm going to be testing these out on some good watercolor paper I have. This is a Art Spectrum cold press watercolor, and here are the little paintbrushes that I also got from Kmart. Now I decided to choose a good quality watercolor paper because I have tested the Kmart watercolor paper and I'm not overly a fan of it. And I honestly think with painting with inks and watercolor and just like wet transparent mediums like that, it is best to have a surface that is high quality, almost more important than the paint itself. And speaking of the ink, I'm actually quite surprised with the colors. These are very nice colors, and they are quite vibrant, especially as you can see with the red there. And the black, when you dilute it with a bit of water, it actually turns a really nice sort of almost like a purpley dull like brown color. It's honestly really nice though. I am very interested in testing that out and seeing if we can get some nice little soft purpley brown gray colors. I think that that could work quite well, especially since we don't have a yellow or any warm colors really. So I had to have a good think about what I was going to paint today, because I couldn't just paint anything and then just use these like inks for the colors, because I had a limited color palette. So this is a little bit of a limited color palette challenge and a art supply testing video. How interesting. I did not expect that, honestly. But anyway, since we had mostly cool tone colors, we had blue, we had a red, which was not a very orangey red. It was more of a neutral red, erring towards maybe cool. And we have this green, which was slightly a bluey green as well. So I couldn't paint anything with warm colors. I couldn't do anything with yellows or oranges or anything like that. So I decided to do a nighttime scene, because in the night, like everything is almost blue looking and the colors are almost washed out, but everything looks slightly colder, and you know, warm browns are more of grays and stuff like that. So I decided a dark tone, a dark sort of night scene would work really well with these colors. Now, if you're wondering what this blue stuff is that I'm putting onto the paper, this is not a pen, this is a masking fluid pen. Well, it's not paint. Anyways, I'm just adding this into any areas that I want to mask off so that I don't have to worry about going around those little areas. And I also had the great idea to do some little dots in what will be a sky. So for the subject matter, I actually wanted to go with a sort of fantasy slash storybook vibe, and I decided to do a little rabbit, as you can see here, and he is laying back on a pillow and a very tiny little blanket with a little cup of either tea or coffee, I'm not sure, and he's got a little book as well. And honestly, I just think that that is so cute, and I love the little pose that I put him in as well. He looks like a little bean, and honestly, I just think it is very cute and definitely my style. So anyways, with this artwork, you will probably notice that I like to move around the page a lot. So I won't like work on one specific area until it's finished. I'll actually do a little bit here, and then while the ink is drying, I'll move on to another area and work that while, you know, the first thing is drying, and then I'll go back to the first thing and then add a layer into that, and rinse and repeat until we have a finished artwork. Honestly, I think that that saves a lot of time, as well as the fact that I kind of get bored waiting for paint to dry, so I like to work in lots of different little sections. So the little blanket that he is laying on, I decided to paint in a little gingham pattern, and that's like that sort of cute little plaid pattern that you'll find a lot on like tablecloths and just cute like cottagey stuff. And I did very thin lines going one direction and then thin lines going in the opposite direction once that was dry. And I found that the paint the ink reactivated when I layered ink over the top. So I guess these are probably not waterproof when dry, which is honestly fine because not all inks are completely waterproof when dry. I'll have to test that out a little bit more, but that's my general idea. Anyways, I actually had to go over some areas on that little tablecloth blanket thing and add in some little darker like patches where the lines intersected with each other so that we had more of a gingham pattern, and honestly I think it turned out very cute and dainty. Now, other than the little blanket, I have added a few layers to the trees as well as the bushes behind the rabbit. I'm basically working from light to dark here, as you do with transparent and wet media. And I'm just like adding in the light shades and then going over where I want more shadows. Now for that little bunny rabbit, I decided to use the black, and I diluted it, and honestly it has this really nice color. I honestly really like it. It's like a very soft warm gray with hints of purple in it. And honestly, I think that it worked really perfectly for that little bunny. It looks like a little brown / gray bunny, but it's like nighttime, so the colors are going to work out really well. Now, for the little pillow behind the rabbit, I decided to do a few layers, and this is the first layer, and it is a very bright, very obnoxious red. And this is pretty much undiluted red from the bottle because I wanted this like pillow to look very red. But don't worry, because I'm actually going to be layering lots of colors over the top to make it look like it fits in the scene. It feels like it's almost a shame to cover up that really nice saturated color. It honestly is a beautiful red, but we need this to work in the scene, and we need to make sure things like, you know, suit the scene. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, while that was drying, I decided to go in with the sky. Now, you guys probably know that I love galaxies, and I love doing sort of galaxy-esque night skies. I just think that they're really beautiful, and you can get some really nice, beautiful galaxy effects with ink and watercolor and that kind of thing. Just with a lot of layers of different colors and like wet blending, you can get some really beautiful effects, and that's what I decided to do for the background today. Not having to worry about the stars because we have masked off the stars with my masking fluid, I just painted over the top and added in some purples, which I've mixed with the red and the blue, and the purple is sort of subdued, but honestly I really like that. I think that it works with the scene because it adds a really nice cool hue to it, and it works really nicely with that blue as well, because obviously the purple was mixed using that blue. Anyway, so I let that dry, and then I added a few more layers over the top to keep working this little galaxy sky. And then afterwards I used a little bit of that diluted gray black color and mixed a little bit of blue with it, and I added that in to deepen the sky and add some dark shadows in there, because this is a night sky and night skies are usually pretty dark. So I have to deepen this, and this will actually make a lot of the colors in the foreground make more sense. After this, I'm working in the trees here, and I'm just adding another layer of shadows, and I have made that gray color quite dark. I used quite a bit more black in it to deepen those shadows, and I'm also mixing a little bit of blue into the green color and making that nice and dark too with a tiny amount of the black, and I am just blending that into the bushes to further deepen those shadows. After this, I'm working on the pillow here, and I have just mixed a little bit of blue with a bit of purple, and I've diluted it a little bit with some water, and we are just adding a nice layer over the top to sort of tone down that red while still making it look like red. And we are going to be adding a little bit of purple into the shadows even further to make it look like he is, sitting on that pillow. Now for the ground, I didn't want it to blend in too much with the bushes because the bushes are green. So I just mixed a little bit of blue with the green to make it sort of a colder blue color. And I also toned it down with a little bit of that black, only a tiny bit though. And I just added a nice layer of that onto the ground. And honestly, I like it. I think it is making the scene look really nice, as well as still keeping separate from those bushes. I also decided to use some of that color to add some cold tones to the trees, and I just layered it a little bit over the top of the trees. And honestly, I think that worked really well, layering that over there. And I decided to remove some of the masking fluid now. I had some little stripes going on the inside part of this pillow here, and I'm just adding in some blending over the top to make it look a little bit more like the inside of a pillow. We'll keep working on that later after it's dried, but now I am removing the masking film from the trees. So we have this really nice sort of backlighting on the trees, so it's like a really nice highlight that frames the page really lovely as well. And now I'm just removing the masking film from the rabbit's face so that we can work on those whiskers, as well as the mug, which I will now paint and just give it like a soft color to make it look like it's not too bright, it's not glowing or anything like that. And now I'm just adding in some pencil lines back, because my pencil sort of blended in a little bit with the paint and even disappeared some in some areas in the bushes. So I had to bring those pencil lines back to make this artwork look a little bit more defined and pretty. Speaking of pretty, don't you love the way these stars look glowing in that night sky? I just think it looks really nice. Once I remove the masking film from those areas, I think the whole piece is coming together very lovely. So now, just to deepen the shadows once more, I'm going in just with some of that grayish blue color, and I've just added, more ink so that it was less diluted. And I'm just adding a little bit of a leafy texture to the bottom of the floor, the forest floor, if I may. Now, in my original idea, I planned to have more plants, so I decided to add those in at the end as silhouettes. It would really help to make this piece look nice and dark, like it was the, in the middle of the night, and he's out there just relaxing, reading a book with a cuppa. Honestly, I really love the chill vibes of this artwork. Anyways, so I added some little ferny type plants to the bottom, just with pure black, because we want these silhouettes to be nice and dark. And I'm also going to be adding some to the top of the illustration as well. These are slightly different, but mostly very similar to the ferns at the bottom, except that they are sort of more droopy. They are flowing down from the canopy of the trees, and they're a little bit more like thick with the leaves and a little bit more like random, if that makes sense. Honestly, I really love the choice of the silhouetted foliage. I think that it really brings this piece together and adds some really nice contrast as well. And yeah, I had a lot of fun adding those details to the artwork. After this, just a few little touch-ups and dark shadows as well, a little bit of texture, and yeah, we are pretty much finished with this artwork. So here is the final results of this video and these Kmart drawing inks, and honestly I think that they were a big yes. I had a lot of fun painting with them and I was very intrigued by the color choices. I don't know why they added a green instead of a yellow, but it was a fun like color challenge, I guess. The inks laid down very nice. They were very vibrant as well. I actually had to tone them down a fair bit to get a night scene, so if you want to paint some really bright stuff, I think that that would work too. And for $3, who can complain about the price? So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit that like and subscribe button to get your scribble fixed in the future. Comment below what you think of my art, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Please stay safe out there, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye everyone.